everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today. Before I begin, just a few words from our legal team. And today I'm just going to review InZinc mining and our projects. As John mentions, we're quite excited about several new developments. I'm just going to start with West Desert. It's our 100% owned project. It's located in Utah. It has a large expandable resource. That resource is underpinned by some very strong PEA level economics. But what I'm going to detail with you today is some new exploration we're seeing just proximal out on the flanks of that deposit. We also have the InZinc project, which is in our backyard here in British Columbia. We have a 100% option on that. It's an earlier stage project, but we're starting to develop some really interesting targets on that project. So hopefully we'll get a few minutes to talk about that. Good jurisdictions. We really focus on location with these projects because they're base metals. I'm going to start with West Desert today. It's located 160 kilometers south and west of Salt Lake City in northwestern Utah. It has an excellent location. In between us at West Desert and Salt Lake is the world-class Bingham Canyon copper mine. So we are in mining country. Here's the surface, a look down from above at the project. And I want to point out three elements to you today. The WD zinc deposit, the two blue lines, which represent silver trends, which were actually mined in historical times, and that hole, CC43, which we're going to talk quite a bit about today. Now, I'm going to be taking a longitudinal section, slice through the project. We're going to be looking to the north, and we're going to look at the proximity and interaction of all of these features of the project. As I mentioned, there you go, the large defined resources consisting of both oxides and sulfides. The sulfide resource is quite substantial at almost 50 million tons combined indicated and inferred. And there's the old Utah silver mine off on the flanks that we're going to talk about a bit later. As far as contained metal in that deposit, in the sulfide category, 691 million pounds of zinc. In the indicated side, in the inferred side, 1.78 billion pounds, plus some appreciable copper. So it's a large resource. That deposit remains open in three directions. But as I've sort of alluded to, we've been fascinated about the silver prospects on the property for some time. And there you can see the historic Utah silver mine being mined down to a unit we call a quartzite and then ending. So as far as most people knew who were mining that was the end of their deposit. But you can see we have two very closely related ore bodies here, and we've always been fascinated to know if there is a connection between those two ore bodies. So again, just 650 meters separating those two. Now, I mentioned drill hole CC43. That was drilled in 1980. And it was drilled to test the extensions of the silver mineralization below the old silver mine. That's becoming quite a key drill hole for us for assessing mineral potential on the flanks of our current deposit. So we're going to look at the 650 meter space. Before we do that, we went back to the drill hole database to do a bit of an analysis and see where higher grade silver components on the project existed. That brings up three areas. The blue bars represent high silver grades in the drill core assays. So there's three areas of interest here. And we'll just have a quick look. When we went back to review CC43, we found, lo and behold, there were some great high-grade silver intersections in those holes with zinc associated with them. That indicates to us, of course, that the mineralizing system below the old silver mine is still there. It's still active. And that was quite a substantial eye-opener. Then we went back to look at the third circle, which I presented. It's in the eastern sector of our deposit. There's also a cluster of silver, high silver grades in that. The geology and mineralogy of all those intersections is the same. So obviously we're developing quite an area of silver potential on the property that was previously not identified or not emphasized. That's not the whole story to CC43. In fact, the hole continued to depth and intersected massive sulfides down near the bottom of the hole. Now those massive sulfides are very high in copper content. There's some appreciable zinc, but the point I want to make is they are sulfides. They're the same as the deposit that we currently have, the WD deposit. So when we put all that together, and for illustration of this, I'm showing you some of the selected intersections on the edge of the WD deposit, the sulfide intersections, and the sulfide intersection in CC43. So we're building a case for several potential zones in that area, which is fantastic. And there you go. The silver and zinc potential is actually a little bit behind the copper and zinc potential, but we have 650 meters of space to work with, framed by the deposit itself, which is open for expansion, and all of the mineralization in CC43. Just a quick note on the PEA that was completed a few years back. Again, we employed underground mining, bulk underground mining on that. The processing was driven by some really great metallurgical work that was performed. The project generates 3 concentrates, zinc, copper, and iron. And notably, the zinc cons were at 55% recovery, which is excellent. The project generates 1.6 billion pounds of zinc over a 15-year mine life, plus some appreciable copper as well. So we're very, very pleased with that. As John mentioned, the zinc prices have gone up since the PEA. You can see we use long-term $1 zinc in the PEA. And you can just imagine at $1.40 zinc, what kind of metrics the project is generating. Here's the final view of the long section. Here you can see the PEA mine design or mine plan superimposed over the zinc and copper potential that we're identifying. You can see actually some very keen mining engineers already designed the production ramp over our new potential area. But seriously, you know, I always work with the old adage that you should survey your lot before you build your house. And these are very big capital intensive build-outs. And then my point is we don't want to start exploring with production level ramps. We should be doing that before. The potential is very high out there. So that's really the final justification for drilling out in this area. I'm just going to spend a couple minutes on Indy. We're moving back to British Columbia. We're going to be looking at a project about 100 kilometers south and east of Prince George. Great access, close to rail, highway. We can actually drive to the northern part of the property in the summer. Here's what the terrain looks like up there. It's quite low relief. As I mentioned, good access. The real key here is that it's been underexplored. It's been a very, very quiet area for a long, long time, actually since the 1990s. It's fascinating because the rocks that underlie Indy are correlative to some of the most productive zinc time horizons that we know of in the Western Korilla. I won't detail all of those, but I'm sure there's some familiar deposits that some people will know in the audience. I'll just take a look at a cross-section across the property from A to A prime. Here we know there's several styles of mineralization on the property that are underexplored. But the real key thing about Indy, as we see it, is the large soil anomalies that are present. And here you can see I've superimposed some of the known deposits that exist, zinc deposits, including our own, and you can just sort of visually compare the footprint of those to the anomalies. They're big enough to contain a significant deposit. Now, we've been doing some work on Indy this summer down in Anomaly B. We've outlined several anomalies over a 1.5 kilometer length, which are associated with no mineralization. So we're very happy about the progress on that and looking forward to moving that project along significantly. So near-term project goals, we want to do some geophysics at West Desert in that intervening 650 meter area. Then we move to drill target selection, finalize permitting for the project, and move into a drill phase. For Indy, a little more field work this fall, compilation, drill target selection, same story, very systematic, permitting and drilling into next year. Here's the capital structure of the company. Just notably, management and the board have 19%. We're certainly aligned with shareholders. And that is the InZinc story, 0. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerry. You got it done in perfect 10 minutes.